Hey everybody, welcome once again to another Foosh video review. This time we're taking a look at the new Funko Legacy Magic the Gathering 6-inch collection, Nissa Revane. I believe that's how her name is pronounced, Nissa Revane. She is once again part of the new Magic 6-inch figure collection, and she is a figure who, from what we're seeing, has changed most dramatically from the prototype stage to this final figure stage here. But this final figure still looks pretty darn good, and we'll get her out of the package and we'll take a closer look at her in just a second. But let's get a look at this box first. So it is just like the other Funko figures in the Magic line that we've seen. We took a look at Jace Beleren the other day, and the design here is consistent. We've got a picture of Nissa here in action, what she looks like, and a better picture on the back, and a breakdown of all the characters that have been released in this first series. And man, I can't say this enough, I'm really liking this Magic series, even though I know absolutely zero about Magic. I've had no exposure, no experience with it, but these figures are really impressing me so far. So why don't you sit tight, I'm going to get Nissa here opened, and we're going to take a closer look at her. And here Nissa is outside of her packaging. Now, before taking into account the things that may have changed between the prototype and the final figure here, I just had to say right off the bat that I'm really liking what I'm seeing. As far as retail level female action figures go, this is, I swear this is one of the strongest offerings just in terms of sheer presentation that I've seen in quite a while. I mean, outside of a Masters of the Universe Classics female figure, which, you know, aren't exactly retail level for the most part, this is pretty darn good. In fact, let's just get some comparisons right out of the way right off the bat here. And here she is with Marvel Legends Moonstone. So let's see if Moonstone wants to stand, and so far she doesn't. There we go. So she looks pretty good with Moonstone. She's definitely a 6-inch figure. She's just a little bit larger than Moonstone. And then if we put her side by side with Masters of the Universe Classics Teela here. Let's see if I can get Teela to stand. Yay, there we go. Things look even better. She's almost the same size as Teela. Teela is just a little bit larger. So, in fact, when I look at them like this, it's looking like she's really darn close in size to a Marvel Legends figure. So, I mean, she is a true 6-inch female. And her proportions, her sculpt, everything looks really good. I think she's every bit as strong and offering as a modern Marvel Legends figure or a Masters of the Universe Classics figure. So I'm pretty pleased with her in that regard, just in terms of how she fits in with overall current female action figures. So her only accessory is this staff, which looks like it has some kind of natural significance to it. I mean, from the little bit that I've been able to read about her, which hasn't been much, is that she's a user of what I guess is called green magic, which I guess is some sort of, you know, natural elemental type thing. So let's get a turnaround picture, or a turnaround view of her here. Now, her cape, like Jace's cloak, is a very soft, rubbery plastic. It moves pretty well, doesn't really hinder anything. And she can hold on to her little wooden killer staff here pretty well. And the little tassels in front of her are also a nice soft rubbery plastic. Now, something that annoyed me with those, let's see, when I took her out of the package, one of these was stuck pretty good to her in her leg. It was sort of like this. And when I removed it, some of the paint scraped off. These tassels, whatever you want to call them, the folds in the material aren't just unpainted plastic, they're actually painted plastic. There's a layer of paint on them. So when you can kind of see the blemish right there where some of the paint came off. It was stuck right to her leg. So I mean, not a big deal, but that's something to be aware of. I'm kind of really shocked that this is a painted material and it isn't just cast in the color it's supposed to be. That was kind of a surprise to me. But outside of that small nit, she's a pretty darn strong offering. So let's get a look at her articulation then. So now these things, these sleeve things, are a little bit odd. Like, they're attached. I mean, they're again a soft plastic also, and they can move up her bicep, and they kind of have to if you're going to get any kind of range of motion in her arms. They attach right under her arm, and I don't know how strong or how secure that is, and it makes me real nervous. I don't want to tear it out, so I'm being very, I'm handling her arms very gingerly, basically. So I mean, she's got an elbow hinge. She has a bicep swivel here, which works pretty well. Her shoulders seem to have a good range of motion, but again, I'm a little trepidatious in terms of getting too much out of them because I don't want to risk ruining that little feature here. And it's on both arms. It's consistent with both. But I mean, it is a soft material and it can be moved, and you can get some range of motion out of her arms, just not a ton. And I'm just not feeling too adventurous here. Her head is on a ball, but her hair kind of gets in the way. I mean, it's a soft rubber also, but it's not that soft, and it's kind of thick, so it doesn't move that much. So it's hard to get a lot of movement out of her head. It's not impossible, but it's a little hard. Her wrists, there's a wrist swivel and a wrist hinge that works pretty well. No complaints there. Now, the major limitation here is this skirt or sarong or whatever it is that she's wearing. It really does hinder her leg articulation almost completely. It's a pretty tough plastic or rubber, whatever it is, and it doesn't allow for a lot of movement in her legs. I mean, she has double knee joint, but it's almost like totally pointless because you can't really do much with it. And she has, her ankles do the back and forth thing, and there's a tilt there too. It's very snug, but it's there. At least I think it's, yeah. It is a rocker ankle. So, I mean, from the waist down, she's definitely not winning any articulation awards. But, I mean, even from the waist up. Oh, and I think she has an ab joint too, that same Funko ab joint. Yeah. There's an ab crunch action there, and it swivels. So, I mean, pretty standard stuff, but her costume does limit her quite a bit. Now, the original prototypes showed us a figure with a very different hair sculpt, one that was a lot more like pixie-ish. This is just kind of your run-of-the-mill long brown hair. So that's kind of disappointing. She had a different tattoo scheme too. The tattoos are more pronounced, but here it's a very light coloring that isn't too different from her flesh tone. So that's a little curious also. And as I recall, her little outfit sarong thing fit her a little bit differently. But let's get a close-up of the face here while we're talking about it. Now, I like the head sculpt quite a bit, and I like how they painted it. The green eyes look cool to me, and the tattoos are cool to me too. The colors aren't distracting, and they're almost easy to ignore. So the hair differences, I mean, your mileage may vary. I'm a little disappointed we didn't actually get what was teased, because I thought it looked really cool with these little curly-Q wispy things that were coming off of it. But I do love her ears. I think those are really awesome. And I can see some custom potential here. I think her head may lend itself well to some Blink customs, for example. I can see someone taking that route with her. And as we pan down, we can see more tattoos. And I remember on the prototype picture, this portion of her skirt sat way lower than it does. In fact, I was kind of surprised that Funko was going to be producing something that quote-unquote sexy. So this is much more conservative what we're seeing here. And it doesn't move either. I tried saying maybe mine was just sitting up high, but it's not. It's really, really meant to be there. And then as we pan lower, there are those road pieces again that I had some paint issues with, and her green boots. I mean, overall, even though this is not quite the figure that was first promised and first teased, I really, really like it a lot. In fact, when I went to Barnes & Noble the other day with the intention of picking up, and again, I'm blanking on the name again, picking up just the lion guy, I saw her and I was like, oh, she's awesome. I got to get this one too. So she was a buy on sight for me. In fact, let's get her posed here with Jace Bellerin, and they look pretty cool together. They look pretty darn cool together. I guess green magic and blue magic. I'm not sure what the difference is or what the significance is, but I'm into it. I dig it, and I want to learn more about it. But even if I don't learn more about it, what I'm loving about these magic figures is that it reminds me of what toy collecting was like way back in the glory days of the 80s when I was a kid. Like stuff like Crystar and the Sectors and even Transformers and Masters of the Universe. These toys just suddenly popped up on the shelves, and you didn't necessarily know a lot about the story, but they were so cool that you had to have them. So you ended up taking home a Crystar and making up your own stories with them, fitting them into the G.I. Joe or Star Wars collection just because they were cool. And that's kind of what I'm doing here with these. Like, I know virtually nothing about either character here, but I think these are awesome looking figures. I'm really, really into them. So my imagination is being sparked here, and I'm having a ball just fitting them into my different collections and setting them up in different configurations with the different franchises. And I think that is awesome, and I haven't felt like this in a long time about anything. Everything else I collect, like, I know very thoroughly. So to have something brand new like this to me is priceless. I love it. I wish more stuff like this would pop up. Oh, and I also want to point out her collar here is also nice, very soft, rubbery plastic, just like her cape. So that is Nissa Revane from the Funko Legacy 6-inch line. I think every single figure in this wave is totally worth getting. So if you see them in the stores, definitely pick them up and check them out and see what you think. And you can let us know what you think about this particular figure by leaving a comment below. Or you can check out our message boards. Check us out on Facebook and Twitter. Subscribe to us here because we like putting up these videos. We put up a lot. So, thanks for checking us out. We hope you liked the video, and we will see you very soon.